What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Real Talk NFT, where we talk all things Web3. We have back now, for the third time, it must be a record, the co-founder of, or the founder, I'm sorry, of BlockBar, Sam Falik. Sam, welcome back.
Thank you so much for having me, man. I'm always looking forward to it. If someone else starts coming more than me, you got to let me know because I'm trying to keep my title.
Yeah, we gotta send you out like a belt or something. But truly, I invited you back because I just saw you guys doing so many cool stuff this last year, and I just had to ask you a ton of questions about it. But I apologize, I forgot to say, my amazing co-host Brian is here as well. So Brian, say hello to everybody.
What's up, everyone? Excited to learn about BlockBar.
Yeah. I feel like we need to open whiskey or wine when we're here. We haven't done that in the previous two recordings. We just have to get you back for the number 4, and then I'll redeem my BlockBar whiskey so we can actually bust one open and enjoy.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, next time when we coordinate a little bit better, I'll send you guys some samples. We could drink something while we're doing it, or better yet, we could do it in person, which would be awesome.
In person, you know what? We're just gonna have to set up interview number 5 too. In person, and online, and we'll have both of those. And I have to start drinking before so the interview will go well.
Yeah, exactly. That's when the real truth starts coming out.
Yeah. Why didn't we think about this before? We're horrible.
Because if we start drinking and I get excited with all the projects that we have on the podcast and I know I'm going to like BlockBar, I'll start buying stuff in the background. That's why. This is responsible financial decisions right now.
Yeah, well, listen, we also live and we learn. So we just got to make each podcast better than the last. So the next one, we'll try to make it work.
Yeah. Well, Sam, you have been doing some incredible things this year, but before we dive into that, you want to give everyone a high level of BlockBar and what you guys represent, because I'm probably going to butcher it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, first of all, again, goes without saying, thank you guys for having me back. Brian, it's great to see you. Joe, thank you for having me back on. It's always good to see you guys touch base about everything that's going on in the NFT world, Web3 world, everything, not just limited to Web3. Really quick summary on what BlockBar is. BlockBar is a premier wine and spirits marketplace where each NFT is backed by the physical real product. Everything that we sell is directly from suppliers, so we partner with the best in the business. We don't take any third-party product. And then the objective for BlockBar, which I know I've said this in the past, so I'm sure I'm going to be repeating myself, but the reason we launched it is because we wanted to solve problems within the Web3 space, but we also wanted to solve a problem outside of the Web3 space. And the wine and spirits industry, as amazing as it is, it comes with a few obstacles that sometimes people don't think about. It's a little bit too late. So our goal is really to make wine and spirits more approachable, make NFTs more approachable, and then solve problems in both industries.
And can you give us high level of the issues that you mentioned? Because a lot of people are not aware who are not, whiskey collectors or spirit collectors.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'll start with both. Kind of going back to the inception of BlockBar. I was very fascinated with NFTs when I first started reading about it. And for me, when I was thinking about it, I thought, NFTs are very, very interesting and very, very cool. But at the same time, it'd be awesome to buy an NFT from an actual brand that I already knew in the regular world. Because for people who just hear about NFTs, they log into OpenSea, which is a website they've never heard of. They have to sign up with a wallet that they've never used before. And then they're just buying NFTs from whatever they just think looks cool. So originally we were like, what if we sell NFTs directly from luxury brands? So we were thinking about fragrances. We were thinking about luxury goods like purses. And then my co-founder, who's my cousin, actually came up with the idea of potentially using wine and spirits. He told me to look into some of the issues in wine and spirits. And that's when we started diving in and seeing, he knew all of these issues, but I started really learning about it. So high level, some of the issues with wine and spirits is access. So when you see some of these very luxury brands, if you actually try and go buy it, specifically in the United States, you're not allowed to buy directly from the brand. We have something called the 3-tier system in the United States, which is just some sort of regulation where basically there is the supplier, that's the owner that's the brand owner. There's a distributor, and then there's a retailer. No party is allowed to be 2 of those 3 segments. So it's split up. So even if you wanted to buy something directly, you're not really allowed to. A lot of times these products are reserved for private clients, or you see them appear on some auction houses, but it's not really attainable or approachable to the masses. Secondly is storage. When you buy some of these products, you don't really realize that you have to store it in the proper temperature. You have to store it in the right place. So if you misproperly handle it, it's going to go improperly handle it, it's gonna go bad. And then you always have to. It's wine and spirits. With this stuff, always happens. It sounds like I made it up out of an ad, but this stuff does happen. Sometimes you have a guest come over, they pop open a bottle, kind of ruins the whole thing. Sometimes people drop it, they make mistakes. If you're moving, like a lot of people do now, the logistics of actually moving the product from point A to point B is pretty complicated. Of course, there's always the insurance, which it's not as easy to insure. And then the third issue that we identified, which is really the most prominent issue in my opinion, is the issue of authenticity. There's a lot of counterfeit in this industry. And part of the reason is because you have these different tiers. None of them are really communicating with the other one. And then by the time it comes to the end consumer, if you have an issue, you can't really identify where that issue came about. So you can try and make a claim to the person that you bought it from. They're going to say that they bought it from this reputable retailer. You're going to have to trace the ownership all the way back, and it's pretty difficult to pinpoint exactly where something went wrong. So our whole vision at BlockBar was basically we want to sell products directly from luxury wine and spirits brands. We want to make it easy, approachable. We want people to pay by fiat and by crypto, obviously. And then we wanted to make the proof of ownership and proof of authenticity the main value proposition of the NFT. The real hard truth, in my opinion, is once a product has been touched by a consumer, there will always be a question of authenticity. The only way that you could really authenticate it is, if you test the liquid. But the whole issue is if you crack open the bottle and you test the liquid, kind of ruins the whole purpose of the collection. So a lot of times what people do to authenticate their bottle, they authenticate the actual label, but the liquid on the inside is always going to be in question. And like I said, if somebody improperly stored it and the liquid went bad, you have a real bottle, you have a real label. It really came from the brand owner, but the liquid on the inside is really spoiled. So we just tried to streamline it directly from the suppliers. We wanted to have a transparent proof of ownership and then traceability all the way back to the brand.
I can definitely vouch for your platform as a user for most of who can't visualize what Sam is talking about. I'm not a huge hobbyist in the whiskey world. I buy it for my friends primarily. And with your most recent job, or one of your most recent jobs, the Duncan Taylor, I bought one because my friend is a big Macallan fan, and I bought one for him. And he goes, "Oh, it's a Duncan Taylor Macallan, which he's a fan of, but he thought it was from Macallan itself." So basically, I bought the wrong one.
Yeah, it's a little bit different.
It was a great use case for me because as a hobbyist of Web3 world, I saw that you sent out more emails saying, "Hey, you got more supply," and those immediately sold out also. I'm like, "Wow, I have something pretty rare," but my friend no longer wants it. Let me try the open market, see what happens. And I didn't have to, authenticate. I didn't have to load pictures. I posted it up in I don't know how long later, a very short time afterwards. And I told Brian immediately, I was like, "It's sold." And I made $100 for a mistake. So before you got on, Sam, Brian's like, "Didn't you just make money from conducting a mistake on BlockBar?" It was amazing. I paid in credit card, got my credit card points, and then I received, some money on the back end. It's super fast, it remediated super quickly. And like you said, authenticity wise, I don't think the end user was ever questioning it because it never reached my hands.
Right. It never touched the hands of a consumer. But you actually brought up a very interesting point, which is something that I forgot to bring up. Wine and spirits is such an excellent gift to get for somebody. But the issue is, let's say you buy a bottle, you get it to your house, you have to figure out how to logistically send it to that person. And one, you obviously have to ask for that person's address, which is annoying whenever you want to send a gift. But then two, you have to worry about transporting those goods. It can't break along the way. You're worried about the method that it's going to be transported, which something could happen to it along the way. It becomes really complicated. And there's also really specific laws about shipping wine and spirits, which people don't really think about either. So one of the greatest features that we came out with on our platform, I think, is the gifting feature. It was actually the idea of our CMO, where it was like, if you own one of these products, what if you just type in the person's email, it sends them a link, they come in, they claim it, and that's it, they're the owner. Now they could do whatever they want with it. You could redeem it and drink it, you could resell it on the platform like you did, or you could continue gifting it to someone else. But it's also cool. I mean, you get a little bit of transparency into what someone is doing with your gift. And that's the same way that the brands feel about it too, or the suppliers feel about it, where it's like they can see exactly what the end consumer, how they're consuming it. Meaning someone buys it, what's the next point? Are they going to resell it? Are they going to hold it for a couple of years until it reaches a better age? Or are they going to enjoy it?
I didn't even see the gift feature. I see it right now. I'm gonna send
Yeah,
it to my friend because I've always been holding it for him, and I'm like, I'm gonna have
yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
redeem. I have to
There's
redeem
a
this
good
thing
thing
for my friend.
right
But
on the
now,
platform.
yeah, that's
You just
awesome.
type in their email, they get a link from BlockBar, they come in, claim it, and then the NFT is transferred. And like you said, you don't have to worry about shipping it. You don't have to worry about proving authenticity along the way. We've really tried to make it as seamless as possible.
Same. I'm a little. This is new to me. BlockBar's new to me. Joe's definitely the resident expert, and I'm on your website taking a look, and it's really cool. Love the gift feature. It makes me want to buy something. To be completely honest with you, really well done website. But is there explain to me about the market overall with like the liquor and wine and spirits market? Are there do you have a lot of customers coming here to like invest in limited edition drops and then flip it for profit, or is it just connoisseurs out there that are building a collection? Kind of curious about that whole outlook.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think when we launched this platform, we kind of segmented our buyers into different potential markets. Where obviously you have the collectors, which this just makes it a lot easier for them to collect. They don't have to worry about the logistics. They don't have to worry about storing it in their house or getting a facility somewhere else. Uh, then you have people that are looking to invest, of course, because wine and spirits has historically outperformed gold in the S&P 500. So it is a pretty interesting investment if you could get access. And then there's kind of the people that are just learning about the market, are interested, and you don't really know what to buy. Like if you go on any of these other websites, I don't want to talk shit about any of these other websites, but just saying you get a little bit overwhelmed. You don't know what's the best of the best. You don't know what's good. You don't know what's a good price point. That's why with us, everything comes directly from the supplier. If the price isn't right, that's because we sell it for the suggested retail price. That's the retail price that was suggested to us by the supplier. So we get a little bit of each segment, but it's also interesting because the age breakdown was very interesting to me too. Because it's like we have to educate the older demographic on Web3 and how to navigate through it. And the truth is, you don't really need much of a background because you could just pay by credit card, and then it's pretty simple. You own this product. But then you also have the younger demographic that they're pretty crypto savvy, they're tech savvy, but they've never thought about investing or collecting wine and spirits. So it's kind of the intersection of both. We find ourselves doing a lot of education on both sides of the market. The breakdown is pretty sporadic. It really depends on the brand usually. I think that there's some brands that resonate better with the younger demographic and some that are with the older demographic. And then there are some that are just more interesting investments, and there are some that are just uh, customers are more eager to consume. So I think a lot of it has to do with the brand specifically, and then also the price point, of course.
Does the whiskey and spirit industry have the same issue that wine is currently facing? I had on David Garrett from Divine Labs talking about the wine industry, and they said, the system's more antiquated there. The winemakers, the users are skewed a little bit older. Is that the same in the whiskey world, or is it, like you said, the people who understand Web3 or alternate asset classes are still here and it's growing?
I think the market is a little bit different. I mean, when you look at some of the issues overlap, like for example, the storage, the authenticity, uh, the insurance, that stuff is constant. But when you look at the wine and the spirits industry, they're very, very different. I'm not sure if you've heard about the Council of Bordeaux, but if you haven't, you should look into it. Basically, I'm probably going to butcher this, but I'm going to do my best to explain it. Uh, there's an incredible book out there if you're interested in learning more about the industry. It's called Billionaire's Vinegar. One of the interesting things that I learned from the book was Thomas Jefferson, when I think he was the ambassador for France at the time. He, again, I might be butchering some of the details, but I'll get it right, and I'll send you the exact breakdown. But when he was really into collecting wines when he was living over there, and he lists a lot of the issues that he was facing, and a lot of it had to do with, he couldn't buy direct; he had to buy from some of the distributors. When it was getting shipped over to him, a lot of it would get damaged, and also there was a huge issue with counterfeit. So it's just
Yeah.
interesting that over 100 years ago, this
Hmm.
industry has been here for a long time, but over 100 years ago, they were facing a lot of the issues that we've had now. And basically, what the Council of Bordeaux did is they made a list of the best wines that they had, and it was kind of like tier one, tier two, tier three is the best way to think about it. And then today, those are the exact same rankings. Uh, Nothing has really changed. So if me and you started a wine company out of Bordeaux, we wouldn't be listed on that list just because that
Hmm.
list is from whenever the council made it up. So it's just an interesting note that I thought was cool. I'll send you the book. It's a good read. But I think that wine and spirits, it's not always the same demographic. You would think that it is, but each one has particular issues. But overall, there are a lot of the same hurdles that they're both facing. Also, you have to think about the producers themselves. Like when you think of a lot of these wine producers in France or in Spain, a lot of them are family businesses. They've been in the family for a really, really long time. But then when you look more at the spirits side, it's a lot of conglomerates. Most spirits companies are owned by a larger umbrella portfolio, and they're massive companies. So again, they're more corporate. The other ones are more family owned. It's different dynamics that you have to deal between the two.
Yeah, I've definitely seen Grey Goose commercials more so than wine commercials, to your
There you
point.
go. There you go. No, and especially when you think of like these very old brands like Petrus, Lafite, a lot of them are very, very, very old companies, and so are the spirits companies, some of them. But you also see new spirits companies launching all the time. There's a lot of celebrity spirit tequila companies now, which is really popular, whiskey, bourbon, a lot of different categories. And again, there's a lot of overlap between the issues that they face, but I would say that demographic and the dynamic of how the company works is pretty different, actually. Much more different than I thought it was at the onset.
Got it. Well, David he wants me to ask you a question because you guys made a big move in April 2023, unbeknownst to me. And his question was, how did you get Jamie Ritchie, I believe, who is like a titan of the space, which I don't know. I'm not in the space, but he's like a titan of the space. How did you get him over to BlockBar? That was his question.
Yeah. Well, it's a great story, and Jamie Ritchie is the man who needs no introduction, which is what I always say. For your audience who doesn't know who he is, Jamie was the head of wine and spirits at Sotheby's. He was at Sotheby's for 32 years. He's extremely well respected within the industry, and we met him pretty early on. So right after we launched BlockBar, my cousin made the recommendation. My cousin is Dove, my co-founder. My cousin made the recommendation that perhaps we needed someone who was a little bit more of a seasoned veteran in the industry than us two. Just because some companies love hearing from my cousin and I. It's a new, younger dynamic, people coming in, trying to revolutionize the industry. But that also scares some people. They wanted to know that they were dealing with someone who was respected, who understands the traditions of the industry, that isn't going to shake everything up. So at the time, my cousin and I, we just send out a bunch of cold emails to a bunch of different wine and spirits executives all around, really just to learn and hear about their interactions with the industry and kind of see their perspective on BlockBar, because it really was changing a very old industry and trying to match it up with something that was so new, and people were a little speculative in the beginning. So Jamie Ritchie was one of the people we reached out to. We set up a meeting with him in London, and at first we were just having conversations with him to learn from him. He's, like I said, he's been in the industry for such a long time. He's seen it all. He has very deep relations with the wine industry and a lot of the spirits brands. And we kind of kept the dialogue going. And then when we kind of made the decision of, okay, I think it's time to try and recruit one of these people to join the team, Jamie was our number one option by far. So we said, let's approach him, let's feel him out, let's see how it goes. And then from there, we can kind of see, this is obviously the reach. This was the 5-star recruit. If we can't get Jamie Ritchie, we'll see what other options are available. And then when we spoke to Jamie, he was very receptive to the idea. He was very respectful. He was very respectful of our expertise. Again, my family has been in this business for a very long time also, and we have different types of experiences, which we could dive into a little bit after. Our vision kind of aligned with Jamie. And then he felt really comfortable coming over to BlockBar because he also knew that we respected the wine and spirits industry as well. It wasn't like this was going to be some get-rich-quick scheme for us. It overlaps with our family business as well. We weren't going to push him in any direction, especially because we admired his vision. And then things just really worked out. He recently moved to Miami. We work out of the same office all the time. And again, it's really a privilege and an honor to have him working for the team. Like I said, just because of his name, his experience, the lessons that he's able to bestow upon us. It's just a wealth of knowledge that we now have access to. And of course, there's a level of credibility as well. Like I said, a lot of these older wine companies and a lot of the spirits companies as well, as much as they like my cousin and I, they didn't feel so comfortable dealing with people in their 20s. It's nice to know that we have someone so respected who took that vote of confidence in us, took that leap of faith with us, and joined the team, and we're working together to make, BlockBar global.
Awesome. Curious about, I'm on the website now, just shopping for my first bottle here or item on BlockBar. Are there scheduled, I just signed up for your email list as well. So are there scheduled drops of certain products coming out? Or I know you have a complete marketplace here where you can see availability. And I guess the second part of this question is, what have been some of your like best sellers or most hyped opportunities where it's sold out quickly? We'd love to just know a little bit about that cadence.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we have a lot of different drop mechanics on BlockBar. So we have auction, first come, first serve, and then we have a shuffle mechanism, which is similar to a lottery. So I think it really is more of a preference to you. Everyone is very particular. I don't know what you like to drink. I don't know some of the brands that you like. Also, you're asking me to pick my favorite. It's like trying to pick my favorite child.
Yeah, tough.
Yeah. But I always like going with the recent ones. I know that Joe was mentioning the Duncan Taylor drop. To me, that was a really, really interesting drop. I just thought the packaging was really innovative. It was a very special offering. I thought that one was very cool. I bought a few myself, one for myself because I wanted to try it, but also because I think that just makes a kick-ass gift moving forward in the future.
Yeah.
So that one's highly recommended. I also think the release that we did with Don Julio 1942 was really, really cool. That page, first of all, that branding and the page of BlockBar working directly with that team was absolutely incredible. It's just, Diageo is a titan in the industry as well. They're probably the largest spirits company in the United States, in the world, outside of a Chinese spirits brand. So just seeing that they are looking at all of these different innovative solutions was really, really cool to work with them on that page. The page is so kick-ass. I mean, they worked their ass off on that page along with us to put together a really unique offering for a lot of the customers. And that one obviously is very cool. It's not necessarily the price point. It's not an entry-level price point, I'll say. But even just checking out that page, I think you learn a lot about just the story of Don Julio, 1942, the different finishes. They did a lot of innovative stuff on that one.
Sam, yeah, for the listeners who couldn't see me, I was jumping up and down when you mentioned Don Julio. Because right when I saw that drop, I messaged Brian. I was like, hey, Brian, you want to split this $36,000 cask with me? And he had no idea what I was talking about.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, but when that drops again, Sam, I bet you he's going to be in on it. I was trying to tell our parent company, too, because they run a crypto a VC fund. I'm like, we need to get this asset into the crypto VC fund. So a couple questions there. I was really close to swiping my credit card for this because it came with, I think, was it 200 bottles or was it 40 bottles per cask? Something like that.
You get 240 bottles, is that right?
Yeah,
240 bottles.
I don't have it in front of me, but yeah, it's something like that.
And also a trip, maybe, right, to the distillery,
yeah,
something like that. Oh my God. I love Don Julio 1942, and I don't even drink that much. Once I drank it, I was like, where has this been my whole life, number one? Secondly, I saw that on your drop, and that what prompted me to email you immediately. I was like, man, you guys are doing some amazing stuff. And I guess the follow-up question is, what are we in the future going to see, I wouldn't say fractionalization, but people allowed to buy a portion of this versus, it's a good entry point for a lot of people, the bottle, but the cask might, a lot of people would not be able to participate. Or maybe just like a percentage of it. Maybe, you sell 5 casks, but maybe 1 cask will be for a special market within a special community within BlockBar.
Yeah, I think that's really up to the producers. I think that we work alongside the producers to work to come up with the best offering for what they're trying to accomplish and also for the community at large. We've done some fractionalization of casks, like we've done a quarter cask, a half cask, 3/4 cask, and a full cask. Yeah. We've done stuff like that, and I can send you some of the releases to take a look at. And again, different styles resonate with different audience groups. But again, I think that the biggest factors always are going to be who is the producer, what is the offering, and what is the price point. And again, it's not because of a lack of interest. Some of this stuff is just out of the budget for a lot of people, which is understandable. And I think that some of it is more for seasoned people in the industry or people with a larger checkbook, and some of it is for people who are just looking to get started. So I don't think that there's a right or wrong answer in terms of what can you buy, especially because everything is so transparent. Like if you click on any product in the marketplace and you scroll down to the bottle, you're going to see the edition history and you're going to see the release history. So with the edition history, you're going to see, is this coming directly from the supplier, meaning am I the first person that's going to be buying this, or am I buying it, on the secondary marketplace? And then also on the release history, you're able to see some of the stats. So, what are some of these bottles reselling for? What was it initially sold for? And then if you're ever curious, you could always go to the release page, which details all of the aspects of the specific release, or you could go to the brand page, which is going to detail all of the specifics of that specific producer.
I love that. And Brian, if you haven't seen that, it's more accurate than NFT marketplace graphs out there, because a lot of those are outdated, but you can absolutely see the historical trading volume of BlockBar's, assets, whatever it may be, tequila, wine, whatever it is. And I find that amazing because you go to so many sites and that's all broken, right? But your site, you can go from the release to the current date and see what has sold and what's the price margin. So hats off on that because it's broken on so many different marketplaces.
I appreciate that. And it's more complex than people think because, again, we have some people that pay in USD and we have some people who pay with ETH.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit different because when the price of ETH fluctuates, it looks like our collection was being sold for different numbers, but it's not. Sometimes it's just the level of ETH going up and down, which is an interesting hedge on the market when you think of wine and spirits, because you could buy a product in ETH or in USD and then ETH goes up or down, but the value of the actual product should remain pretty constant.
Yeah.
Oh, I have a question just to go back to this Don Julio cask.
Yeah.
So we buy a cask for whatever it was, $36,000. Joe, you got my wheels turning here. It's 240 bottles. It looks like 40 cases of booze.
Yeah.
It looks awesome. It's exciting. Do they, I'm trying to find the information. Does it subdivide or do I have to redeem all those 240 bottles? Or do they subdivide by bottle, like 240 NFTs or 40 NFTs? Curious how that works there.
Really, really good question. So basically, first of all, you're going to be invited you're going to be in the loop for the entire process. So the reason that it's in a cask is because the actual product is in a cask right now. Eventually, we're not allowed to ship casks. So eventually, the bottle is going to be, the cask is going to be converted into individual bottles. And then your NFT or the owner's NFT is going to convert into however many NFTs that are come from that. So
okay.
It also it's an interesting play because we were trying to think of a way to gamify it as a general concept. Because when you think of a whiskey barrel, the older that the barrel gets, the more that the whiskey dissolves. That's called the angel's share. So we were thinking there's also some sort of game to play in the future when you get to choose when that gets bottled. The owner gets to choose when it gets bottled. Because then it's like, do you want it to continue to age, in which case it's an older age statement, or do you want it, which it'll yield less bottles, or do you want to just have it now and have the bottles? But in short, the answer is whenever the barrel actually gets bottled, your NFT is going to update into individual NFTs. And that's one of the conveniences of BlockBar, where there are people who buy casks and they don't know the answer to that specific question. So eventually, at some point, usually they have to redeem 240 bottles, which is crazy. Where what we could do is, there's the 240 bottles. They're sitting in our bonded temperature-controlled facility, and then you can redeem it as you want. If you want 10 bottles this month, and then you want to gift 20 bottles next month, it gives you a little bit more flexibility.
Yeah, that's what I love about it. That's what's attractive. And Joe, now it makes a lot more sense why you were interested with it, because I was like, I don't know what we're gonna do with a cask of tequila.
Yeah. Well, we're not gonna ship you. We're gonna give you an actual cask that you got to put in your living room. It's more like you have it. It's there. You're gonna get updates as the product is getting updated. You're gonna be invited to the distillery. You're gonna be able to meet some of the people that made the tequila or whichever product that you got. Some of these distillery tours are really interesting, especially the ones. I guess anywhere you go, you're gonna have to travel to go see it, which is really, really cool. And yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you told me this afterwards because I was trying to crack that code. I thought it was 240 bottles you would have to, redeem immediately. Had I known it was NFT version, I would have rode into this so quickly because there's an open market. I would buy 10, 20 bottles myself, of these casks because of the unique flavors, right? They're exclusive to this drop,
Yeah.
right? They're not. You can't buy these flavors.
No.
Like when I was heard like charred oak or whatever, I was reading it. I'm like, I want one of each, and yeah, I was just super excited to get my hands on one, and I couldn't. And I couldn't convince the wife, but now I can, because with the angels, what is it called? The angels what?
The angel share.
The angel share, I could just see myself just buying a cask for the rest of my life. You redeem one a year, right? And then maybe the latter half will pay for the first.
You get to keep some. And also, you brought up another interesting point where it's like, think about it from the producer's perspective. If they have an idea for some really cool product, let's say that it's one cask or two casks, whatever it is, you end up having 250 or 500 bottles. And then as the producer, it's like, okay, where do I sell this now? You're going to send some to Harrods in London. You'll send some maybe to Vegas, some to duty-free stores, but it's not that many. And you have to decide the allocation ahead of time because the physical product has to be there. Where one of the cool things that we're able to do with them is you can try this product, see if it works, and then see the results, speak to the consumers, and then you kind of make a more informed and educated decision on future releases and future innovations that you're going to have also.
Yep. Don Julio, if you're hearing this, we want another drop, and I'll be part of it because it was such a great deal in my opinion, right? It wasn't wholesale cost, it was retail. I mean, and it wasn't marked up, right? It's basically what people pay retail now for a bottle of Don Julio, but in a more unique and actually more utility. You get to visit the distiller.
You have to be careful because that one was an auction. It was an auction. It wasn't a buy now.
It wasn't, but it all sold very close to the limit price, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the times of the market, and maybe not thankfully. If crypto was even higher, these casks would have been like crazy amounts.
When it's higher.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely, I am interested in future drops of this. Definitely would like to get my hands on this. But you guys followed this up with another huge drop. Like right afterwards, I got an email, and this one is completely out of my price point. The cask of Don Julio, I can definitely, on the next one, hopefully the markets are down still, I can definitely get in on that. But you guys launched something very unique. Can you talk about that with Glenfiddich?
Yeah, I mean, with Glenfiddich, we've done a lot of very, very cool releases with them. They've been a great team to work with as well. They were actually our first release that we ever had on BlockBar, which again, you could see it on our marketplace and you could see it. I see your eyes are lighting up, Brian. I don't know what you're looking at.
I'm looking at the Glenfiddich stuff right now. I'm very curious. I'm on here. I mean, Joe's saying that he's priced out, but he was talking about buying a $36,000 thing of Don Julio. I want to know what the price is.
Yeah. I think the best thing for consumers now is just this extra layer of transparency. You're just able to interact more directly with the brand. The brand is also always interested in learning more from the consumers, and the consumers. A lot of our consumers always want to hear more from the producers. You want to know more about the product that you're buying. You want access to events, tastings, whether it be virtual, in person, and it kind of adds the next level of a personalized CRM for a lot of these producers and the consumers. Yeah.
Tell us about that Glenfiddich cask or barrel. Maybe that's the better word. That sold for up close to $1 million, I believe.
$1 million? That $1 million?
Close to.
Yeah.
Okay, but still.
It was priced at, I think, I don't have the numbers in front of me. I wish. This is just how you know that we're doing it live. I think it was close to $750,000. That was the first time that we used something called sealed bid, which was Jamie's invention and his idea. That specific cask wasn't sold, so we still have that product. We're working alongside Glenfiddich to figure out exactly what we want to do with it. But that's part of the interesting part of the sealed bid technology, which again, I could dive into it. I could send you on more what it's like, but that specific one was still a very cool release to work on with Glenfiddich. I think that there's always a lot of learnings with the releases when we work with these producers. So yeah, it was very cool. It was very cool to be part of.
Is it the one that we're talking about? You'll be the only person or group to own this exclusive cask. So that's the only cask ever made here?
Correct.
Cool.
Let's get our VCs on the call right now and get this rolling. No, it's awesome what you guys are doing. And I remember we talked about this when we first got on like 2 years ago. I'm so happy that you guys are not only here, but innovating the space, especially Jamie, adding more spice here. Tell us a little bit about exactly what we've been talking about. You've been asking us for feedback, but what's been the biggest feedback for you guys these last 2 years that we've really, helped you guys move the needle or progress in a different way?
In what sense? Just so I can
Um,
understand the question a little better.
yeah, like the biggest feedback that the community has given to you that you've taken as, hey, we should put some gas on here, or maybe we should put a brake onto this sector of what we're doing BlockBar. Since you guys have been out for a lot longer than 99% of the digital assets and NFT companies out there, we would love to hear actual use cases.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the biggest takeaway from the producers has been that they are very, very interested in learning more about the end consumer.
Mm.
The producers are interested in testing and learning. Like you said, when you think of a typical wine and spirits collector, it's usually someone who's a little bit older. So they're interested to hearing the feedback of the consumers that we've attracted, and more other younger consumers that are a little bit hesitant to buy into some of the products, but really to hear why. And to me, it was very uh, it was very eye opening to hear the I don't know exactly how to phrase it, but it was very cool to hear how open the producers were to hearing back from their community, and hearing from a lot of the new demographics. So I would say that the feedback loop has been really beneficial, and I think that the producers care a lot about how the integrity of their product, and that's why they're feeling more and more comfortable working with BlockBar, and they're careful about who they work with in the space. They don't just want to work with anybody, because they want to make sure that the people have the right intention. And I think that we've proved that we're doing that, and part of the way that we're proving that is by bringing them into the feedback loop with a lot of the consumers. We've set up interactions between some of the buyers and the producers themselves. So yeah, that's been my biggest takeaway so far. It's been really great to see that even these huge companies are still very interested in the actual consumer. What are their needs? What are their wants? What are their struggles right now? How can we make it better? So yeah, I'm not sure if that answers your question, but that was kind of my biggest takeaway from the producers so far.
Yeah, no, definitely. No, that answers it. What's in store for the future? What I know in the beginning, we also talked about different types of products potentially. Has that changed at all? What are you guys working on next?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we're still sticking to the same vision, which is we want to be the largest global wine and spirits marketplace. And we think that we could get there. I think that we make it very seamless to transact on our website. And I think that we have stayed constant in only working with producers. It's much easier if we started sourcing product from the secondary market. But again, that goes against our vision, and that kind of invalidates what we're pitching as the biggest value proposition, which is the easiest way to authenticate any product is if it comes directly from the source. And that has really been the vision that we've had from the beginning. We are not willing to compromise on that. And I think that's one of the reasons Jamie felt comfortable coming with us. And he's really instilled that also. So I think that we just have to keep doing what we're doing. You've seen the bull markets and the bear markets. I think that the true innovators and the companies that offer the really attractive value proposition are going to be the companies that make it. So I think we just have to keep doing what we're doing, remember what our vision is, and be confident that we can get there.
Well, you guys are making right moves, in my opinion, and I'm looking forward to what you guys are, going to release. And I'm sure Brian is already, if he hasn't gotten something already in the shopping cart. Awesome. Well, Sam, thank you for jumping on for the third time. We would love to keep this, a yearly thing, a yearly occurrence. We want to make sure that we
For sure.
open some bottles next time, preferably a Don Julio 1942.
Yeah, I mean, whatever it is, we got to coordinate better to either sit in person or send samples all around. We could do a different tasting, which would be awesome.
Yeah, Miami or New York. I think you're sitting in Miami right now, right? Either
Yeah.
one works for us. Yeah, Sun or the magical city, New York. We would both love to be there. We need to make a live recording. We haven't done that yet.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. It'd be great.
All right, Sam. Last thing is, if people want to find you, can they? You want to shout that out, or where's the best place to connect with BlockBar?
Yeah, I mean, the best way to connect with BlockBar directly is on our website or on Twitter. Our handle is BlockBar, easy to find. Our website is blockbar.com. Contact us, give us feedback. We're really interested in hearing, what people think, what people want more of, what they're looking for future releases. We interact with our customers a lot via email. We just are very interested in hearing more, and so are the producers. So feel free to reach out via the website, Twitter, Instagram, whatever it is. You can find us.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sam.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me again.